Welcome back to the channel. I'm the Sami Zayn of football YouTube, Broshmo, and the NFL draft is now over. So let's look on to the future, to the NFL season, and here are my Defensive Rookie of the Year candidates. I'm going to be giving you 10 different players in this video along with a sleeper pick, but go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content as always. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse, baby. Let's go ahead, get this sucker rolling quick. By the way, released a way too early 2024 mock draft, 2 rounds just the other day, so check that out. Let's get this sucker started with my sleeper pick, Byron Young from Tennessee, now with the Rams. It's important to say there were 2 Byron Youngs in this past draft, but this is the edge from the Volunteers. He goes to the Rams, and I think there's a way that this cat can definitely win Defensive Rookie of the Year, at least get a high sack total, just because I think he's gonna be on the field a ton. I think he proved at the Senior Bowl that he can play the run quite well. Like, he was a much better run defender than I expected. He was playing sideline to sideline, and you love to see it. But on top of that, the Rams, they went in on this edge class because they ain't got a lot of edges. And to be fair, their first pick wasn't until the 2nd round, but they got O'Shane Mathis from Nebraska. They got Nick Hampton, who honestly you could replace Byron Young with Nick Hampton. I think those are going to be the 2 guys that probably see the most snaps on the defense in terms of rookies for the Rams. And you can honestly put him here. But I think it's going to be Byron Young just because of his ability to play the run game. I think he's going to be on the field a ton. And I think that sack total is going to be up. And let's be frank, when it comes to Defensive Rookie of the Year, like last year was kind of an outlier. Typically, Defensive Rookie of the Year are guys that have a lot of tackles or a lot of sacks. Like I said in last year's video when it came to Sauce, like unless you got a lot of interceptions or a lot of pass deflections, you're not going to be considered. It's just the case. I think Marlon Humphrey once said it's a lot easier to come by sacks and tackles than it is interceptions, and that's why I had like Sauce as like 5th on my list. Good job winning it though. I'm glad I at least had him on there. But Byron Young, I think, could be a sleeper here. But let's go ahead and get to the top 10. Start with 10. LUKAS Van Ness from the Green Bay Packers. He was their 1st round pick out of Iowa. Bit raw. Like, he's got a sick bull rush. He can turn speed to power very nicely, but unpolished. But he's got a versatile body type that allows him to be used in a variety of different ways. He's going to be a good stunt guy, a good looper. Question is, how often is he going to see the field? And that's why he lands so low on my list, because he's got guys in front of him like Preston Smith, Rashawn Gary coming back healthy, even Kingsley and Agbarie, who saw a healthy amount of snaps last year, who was their rookie. But I mean, I think they kind of got a vacuum that needs to be filled in terms of that 4-eye 5-tech role that Dean Lowry, Jaron Reed played a lot last year, and I think you can fit LUKAS Van Ness into that as well. Like, I'm not saying playing him there full time, because I mean that was like a 500 snap position last year. He ain't gonna be doing that. I think that's why they pick up like a Kobe Wooden. I mean, I fully expect Devontae Wyatt to see a lot more snaps this season. So I'm not saying like, oh yeah, that's where he's gonna be playing for sure. He's gonna be moved around a little bit, but he finds himself low on this list just because I don't know how much of the field he is gonna be able to see year 1. On to number 9, I have Brian Branch from the Detroit Lions. He was drafted in the 2nd round by the Lions, and a quality move up. I liked the Lions' 2nd round a whole lot better than their 1st round, but hey, maybe we'll see one of their 1st round picks on this list. Have to wait and see. And I absolutely love Brian Branch. Like, this was a dude that plays so good around the line of scrimmage, but that doesn't necessarily have the body type to really hold up in the box, at least consistently. That's why a lot of people probably viewed him as kind of a slot player in this class, and doesn't necessarily have ideal range to play as a center fielder, but I think that's something you can do. Unfortunately, they have a guy that already does it exceptionally well in Kirby Joseph. So I think his in is if he could play the slot. And this dude's great at tackling out in space. He can create turnovers. And the question, they brought in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They have Tracy Walker back there too. So the question is, how often will he be able to see the field? And I don't think it's going to be, I think he's going to see the field a good amount. I think he's going to hover around that 400 to 500 snap total in year one as a rookie, but a lot of that might come because of injuries. But I wanted to include Brian Branch because I was a huge fan. I think he can be a big time player for this defense. All right, we're going to go to number, what would this be, 8? And I'm going to be talking about Jalen Carter. Mr. Carter got drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's just not going to be, defensive interior just doesn't get a lot of love. It just doesn't, unless you're like wreaking massive havoc like Aaron Donald, who was a generational prospect. Then, which, I mean, Jalen Carter, I mean, you could say he's at least in the general ballpark. He was a pretty fine prospect himself. But how often is he going to find himself on the field? You're playing on Eagles team that has a deep rotation, and they like to rotate those guys in a lot. And just how many opportunities are you going to get? And just from an interior position, it's like how are your stats going to look, you know? So that's why he's so low on this list. I mean, just look at this defense, just from the defensive interior perspective. Fletcher Cox, Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, Marlon Toipiloto. There we go. It was actually a favorite of mine a couple of years ago. They drafted Moro Jamo, who 7th round pick. I thought he should have went a lot earlier, but man, I don't know if he even makes this roster because this defensive interior group is just so good for the Eagles. Like, how often will Carter will be called upon on the field? And you could let's just throw Nolan Smith up here as well, because he didn't even make my list just because of the same fact. Like, Hassan Reddick he's gonna be eating. Like, Nolan Smith is probably gonna be viewed as the heir apparent at that position, but how many opportunities will he truly get? That's kind of the problem. When you're looking at your candidates for defensive rookie of the year, you really want to look at what guys are going to be getting volume, what guys are going to be getting those opportunities. And I just don't see enough for guys like Jalen Carter or Nolan Smith. So we kind of bundled 2 into 1 there. So yeah, number 7, I got Emmanuel Forbes. And initially, when I was putting together my top 10, I didn't have him on here. And then I thought about it, I was like, man, this guy has had 6 career pick sixes in the FBS. That's a record. He's a playmaker, and he's going to a Vic Fangio style defense where he's going to be able to sit back, read the quarterback, and jump on plays. I like it. I love it. I would love to see more of it. Like, I like him in this Jack Del Rio defense. Yeah, you're gonna see him in my reach video, just because he's kind of a unicorn in that fact. 166 pounds, like, not a lot of guys stick at the position when they're sub 170. That's just not the case in the NFL. There's like maybe you could count like 3 or 4 actually in the NFL, but doesn't mean that, like, this guy's going to be getting opportunities. He has a nose for the football, natural ball hawk. So I think there's a good chance, especially with how highly he was drafted by the Commanders, that he could maybe get into that Sauce Gardner conversation. Though, to be fair, Sauce Gardner was less interceptions, more pass deflections, and more just shut down D. I think Forbes has the chance to make a run for Defensive Rookie of the Year. By Via, he's probably going to see a lot of interceptions, and when he does, he makes the most of them. I'm just going to say that. Let me let Gojo in. Probably wants to know Felix DK Uzama made the list. Sorry, Gojo, buddy. I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. Felix did not make the list. He's not happy. He's not happy one of his Chiefs players did make the list here. Okay, next on the list here, we have Will McDonald. Had a farm, and it was in MetLife. I think this dude has a chance to really have a disgusting sack total. The question is just how often will he be on the field? He is going to be fighting for snaps with guys like Carl Lawson, who was banged up last year, Michael Clemens, who looked actually pretty darn good. Jermaine Johnson was a first-round pick, and even Bryce Huff, who was just disgusting in terms of production. Wasn't on the field a ton, but when he was getting to the quarterback. He had like a ludicrous 30% win rate as a pass rusher. You know, I mean, you could talk about James Houston in that same vein. So depending on how often Will McDonald is on the field, we might have to reel back expectations. But just knowing that stinking Robert Saleh is going to use him in that Y9, just, hey, we know you're explosive. Go get after it, young man. And I think he could probably get a high sack total. I truly believe he can. So that's why he makes the list here. I know some people think he was a bit of a reach. He was a fringe first rounder for a lot of people anyway. So yeah, they took him at 15. Felt a bit early. I feel like Broderick Jones getting snagged in front of him kind of altered the plans. Didn't have enough time to really work out maybe a trade down, and they just went ahead and took who was the next guy on their board. So yeah. Sometimes the draft be a cruel mistress. Okay, who do we got next on the list? Oh, a favorite of mine, Dorian Williams. He got drafted by the Bucks in the 3rd round. He is a lanky, super athletic linebacker. And fun fact, they just lost a lanky, super athletic, a fun linebacker in Tremaine Edmonds to the Bears. So the only question is, can Dorian Williams become the opening day starter? Because if so, man, I think he's someone that could rack up a lot of tackles. He was one of the better coverage linebackers in this class, and he's a dog in the run game. Not necessarily the biggest dog, but he is a dog nonetheless. So I think he could rack up a lot of tackles. I think he can make some splash plays in coverage. The question is, will he start? Obviously, they got Matt Milano there at weak side, and it means he's probably going to have to play more of a middle Mike linebacker role, and you're looking, they got Tyrell Dodson. Okay, I think Williams beats him out. AJ Klein, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, AJ Klein's the player I'm concerned with, because he's just been been a journeyman or a reliable depth piece. I could see them going with the veterans starting in front of the rookie. They also have Terrell Bernard from last year, but he is also a bit undersized. But Dorian Williams, man, I knew he was going to be on this list immediately, and if he is a starter, I think he could rack up a lot of tackles and make those plays in coverage to be in contention for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Let's go to number 4, and it is Tyree Wilson. Out of Texas Tech, went to the Las Vegas Raiders. It sounds like he's been cleared in terms of his foot, that he will be good to go, and good to go for training camp and such. That's at least what I saw, what I heard. If you've heard otherwise, please let me know in the chat. And I think Wilson has a good chance. Yeah, he's going to be behind Chandler Jones, but they got a nice rotation. This is a dude with a very versatile body type. Just because they have Chandler Jones and Max Crosby on the field at once doesn't mean Tyree Wilson can't get on the field. Remember, this is the dude that was a very good run defender as well, and he was kind of playing in those 3-man fronts in the Big 12. He was often playing similar to a Will McDonald playing 4-eye 5-tech. So, and I would love to see this guy get after it more so on the outside. And he's got that freaky length. I think he moves pretty darn well. A lot of people don't think he has burst. I think more of that was just timing the snap late, so the get off didn't look impressive. But I figured you got to include him high up, just considering where he was drafted and how the NFL viewed him. I think he's been productive the last 2 years at Texas Tech. I think he has a chance to be a high sack total guy. I think he is he is currently tied for second among betting odds as Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I'm going to let y'all know, man, my favorite for Rookie of the Year, not even listed in their current top, like, what is this, 8-10? Yeah, I'm curious what his betting odds are. But next, I have Devon Witherspoon. Sauce made a fool of me last year when I was like, man, I just don't see it unless he's like uber productive from a statistical standpoint. Because, like, let's be fair, a lot of these awards are given out because of stats. They don't look at the whole picture. And last year they did. Sauce had, I think, the lowest or the second lowest completion rate allowed. He was up there in terms of how many pass breakups he had, but he was low on interceptions. Typically, that is the death nail when it comes to trying to be defensive rookie of the year. But Sauce kind of broke that. And I think Witherspoon playing with Tyreek Woolen next to him, now they got the Legion of Spoon going. I think there's a chance Witherspoon could maybe make it 2 years straight. We see a corner win defensive rookie of the year. He is currently the fourth best, or the fourth betted favorite at plus 900. They threw Christian Gonzalez up there. I'm gonna let y'all know Christian Gonzalez did not make my list because I don't know, man. I don't trust the Patriots because they're kind of deep at corner, but I mean, they're also kind of small outside of Gonzalez. Instead, I went with Witherspoon, who was a pass deflection machine. He had like 14 pass breakups this past year. I mean, with how active he is against the run as well, dude, I could see it. At number 2, I have Will Anderson, who is the current betted favorite at plus 350. And I have him number 2. Do I think he'll be a high sack total guy? I think he has a chance to be. I think he can get in double-digit sacks. I think he's going to definitely be in contention for this reward. That's why he's number 2 on the list. The question is, like, how dominant can he be, especially for a Texans team that doesn't exactly have a lot of talent along the defensive line? Though I do think they brought back, or didn't they bring back Jerry Jeudy, or at least he was on like a multi-year contract? No, I said Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Hughes. Yeah, Jerry Hughes is there. They also got Jonathan Grenard, Chase Winovich. Okay, so they're looking all right at the edge. Like, I'd say it's lower mid for the NFL, but there's not a lot of talent right now along that defensive line, and he's going to get keyed on a ton. So how dominant can he be? I mean, again, he's number 2 on this list. So it's like, I think he's going to be very productive next year. It's just, I have one guy in front of him, and you might be like, who? I went with Jack Campbell from the Detroit Lions. He was the 18th overall pick, so this cat is going to start. I fully expect that they're going to start him early, just via where he was drafted. He was one of the more safe floor players in this class at the linebacker position. It wasn't a great linebacker class either. I'm kind of curious, like, is it going to be Campbell and Malcolm Rodriguez, or how much does Alex Anzalone, who they brought back, how much is he going to play into this? That's kind of my question. But I think Campbell's going to be he's going to have a lot of tackles, and I think he's been a decent at making splash plays and coverage. He's more right place at the right time. You'll never really find this guy out of position, but I think he's going to be a tackle machine, which could lead to him being defensive rookie of the year. That's why I'm putting him at 1. I thought about, like, in all honesty, I started the list. It was Will Anderson at 1, but then I was like, let's go outside the box here. Looking at the other linebackers, don't really know if they'll get the opportunities. Campbell, drafted highly, he'll get the opportunities, he'll get the volume. The Lions, I believe their run defense was a bit so-so last year. That they've made additions. I mean, they drafted Broderick Martin to come help with that. They also brought Corey Durden as a UDFA at NC State, former Florida State player. That's a bit interesting. He's a bit of a nose tackle size too. They got meat. They were like, we want to get meat in the middle. All right, I see y'all. But yeah, I'm going to go with Jack Campbell. That is my pick for Defensive Rookie of the Year, though. I think Will Anderson being the better favorite shouldn't surprise anybody. If you're going to put money on anyone, I would put money on Will Anderson. But if you're like, yo, odds are really good for Jack Campbell, sign me up, then go ahead and do that. But that's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. And as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.